Okay, now we're going to have a quick look at the task that you need to get started on. This is your first programming task with the microbit. All the tasks will be set out quite similar to this, so this is going to give us just a practice on what we need to do. Coming down to our files, I've got one here that says creating a scrolling name badge. So creating a scrolling name badge, I'm going to click that file and it opens. And this is the task that we have to do. To start off with is our brief or our task of the program that we have to actually complete. We're actually going to follow the technology design process to actually do this. So we're going to make an analysis of the task. Then we're going to have a look at developing a plan for the program. We're going to write the program, and then we're going to evaluate the program. So we're going to start off with our analysis. First of all, let's read and find out what the task's about. So it says you're required to produce a scrolling name badge script which utilizes different commands. You must use different commands to showcase your first name, your last name, and your school name. Remember, a microbit has button commands and a motion detector or shake. Complete the documentation following the technology design process, and when complete, upload to your class page. So what that means is we've got to make a program that displays your first name, your last name, and the school name. And for each one of those names, you have to get it to start by using some different function on the microbit. For example, you might tie one of the buttons to one of the names, you might tie shake to another name, and you might tie, I don't know, the other button to your school name, but it's up to you how you do that. Don't forget you can press two buttons as well together to actually make a third button. Okay, so you have to actually analyze the problem. So we're going to look at the problem. All we need to do is actually get something to display our name, and we have to display it in 3 different stages. So we're going to write down here, we need to display the first name, and then we're going to say we're going to choose to display that by pressing button A, for example. That will actually display the first name. Then we're going to show what we need to do to display the second name and show what we need to do to display the third name. Now we kind of have this written out in dot points, the task that we need to complete. We're then going to go and design it. Now, we're using those on event blocks for this. The simple when button A is pressed, do something. And if you watch my last video, it pretty much gives the answer away to this task anyway. But you have to create a little flowchart about this. Now, I'm going to suggest the best way to create a flowchart using these on-event commands is to create a little flowchart for each command, because they're like little independent programs. Instead of starting a main program, you're basically starting the little routine that runs when you press button A, or the little routine that will run when you press button B. Okay, so they're like little separate programs. So we're going to build, my suggestion is to build 3 little separate flowcharts. Now there's not a lot to do with these programs or the flowchart, because basically when button A, wait until button A is pressed. When button A is pressed, then scroll the name on the screen, which will be an output. Don't forget inputs and outputs. Use parallelograms. Okay, and you need to start and stop with your terminating symbols, which are your ovals. You could, though, at the start write something like start after button A is pushed, but you can be creative on that as well. Okay, so then you've got your plan, and if you have it as 3 separate flowcharts, then that's the way you're going to program it, as 3 little programs all on the one screen, but one for button A, one for button B, or whatever you choose. Now you're ready to program it. So you've done your analysis, which basically wrote down in dot points what you're going to actually do in this particular case. Then we've done our design of the program, and it looks similar to what the program's going to look like. And now we're going to actually go and create the program. There's a link here to make code, but it is also on our class page. So you can click the link and you can start trying to make the code. Don't forget the last video I did pretty much gives away the answer to the code. Once you've finished that, get a screenshot of your code, paste it in here so that we can have a look at it. Now the last section is the evaluation section. The evaluation section has two groups of questions. The first question says, what elements of the task did you find easy? And how do you know that you meet the needs of the task? Let's do the first part first. What parts of the task did you find easy? That's pretty much self-explanatory. I'm sure you didn't find the whole thing difficult. I'm sure there was some easy parts in it. The next part is really important. How do you know that you meet the needs of the task? This is really important because whenever you create anything that from a brief, you need to make sure that when you get to the end, you've actually solved what the original problem was. It's no good making something really great and fancy and then find that it doesn't solve the need of the user. So you need to go back to the brief or the task at the beginning, have a look at the analysis stage that you did, and make sure everything matches your output that you actually got. In other words, the results that you got. We call that testing, and that's really important. We need to do lots of testing for this sort of thing to make sure that there is no problem. The second group of questions is, what elements of the task did you find challenging, and how did you overcome this problem? So that's, again, quite self-explanatory. What parts did you find more difficult? Did you need to go and get some help? Did you look it up on the internet? Did you have a look at a sample? Did you message me or email me about it? Did you ask your parents about it? Did you find someone else in your class that knows something about it? There's lots of ways you can solve problems as you come across them when you're creating the program. Anyway, that's all you have to do. You save that and then submit it on to Emmlink and you're done. Okay, go do it.